on that note, let's take the conversation forward. We do have Dilip Bhat now joining us. Dilip, before we talk about the overall market, since this is such a hot issue and we started seeing some buying at lower levels in these life insurance stocks, what do you think? I mean, obviously, if some sort of a relief comes in tomorrow, then it's a bonanza. But if it doesn't, if the current dispensation stands, then would you look at buying any of these beaten down stocks?
Well, even if the government doesn't really accept some of the demands of the insurance industry, I think the correction has been fairly very good. And considering that overall penetration of this particular industry and considering the fact that the overall prospects look good, I think certainly these stocks merit a look from the current levels, of course, on a longer term basis, because a lot of things are changing out over there. But yes, I think life insurance certainly, the stocks within that certainly look good. My only caveat over here is a lot of these frontline insurance companies are owned by some foreign collaborator abroad, and they have been regularly selling. So I think that overhang possibly is something that we have to reckon with even as we try to accumulate these stocks.
Hi Dilip, good afternoon. Dilip, I wanted to ask you about Vedanta. You know, the promoter entity at one point of time, the fear was that maybe at the parent level they'll default on the bonds, and you had the yields that spiked up as well. Today, some reports indicated that maybe Mr. Agarwal could look at selling some part of Vedanta. He's clarified to us, we wrote to them, and in fact, they said that there is no plan whatsoever. How do you approach Vedanta at around 270, 275 rupees? Valuation-wise, it's very, very cheap. The uncertainty is on the promoter entity. Your view?
Nigel, I think Vedanta has always been in the midst of some kind of corporate governance issue. Always, I would say. But otherwise, yes, Nigel, you're right that it's extremely cheap. And I think on a risk-return basis, the risk is limited. My own view is that are they going to default in the bonds? My broader sense says no. I mean, even if it means doing whatever it takes, they will do that. So I don't think I'm worried more about that. But yes, I think it has got a lot of liabilities, which is really, which is bothering the markets. So I would say that Vedanta from the current levels, I would say yes, on a longer term basis, I would certainly buy, because I think the risk return is strongly loaded in favor of Vedanta. Having said that, as what I said, corporate governance has been something which they really need to tone up.
All right, Dilip, stay with us. You know, I just want to highlight a few other names which are making moves, one on the downside, the other on the upside. HAL is under pressure. The government has, of course, floated an offer to sell up to 3.5% of its over 75% stake in the company. There's a discount, of course, which it is giving. And the other one is GR Infra. You know, at the time of the IPO, there was a great deal of demand. Of course, stock has done pretty poorly since. And today, it's up about 7%. There are orders, I think, on the back of which potential orders on the back of which the stock is reacting. Vivek has got details on both these. Vivek, over to you.
That's right, Prashant. So let me first take you through, what's exactly happening in HAL and, some analysis as well as to what exactly quant analysts are saying in terms of what the OFS does as far as the promoter weighting is concerned and the free float is concerned. Like you mentioned, the OFS, 3.5% equity dilution from the government. It's a divestment. This is mainly to meet the minimum public shareholding norms, which was slightly above the 75%. So now, on the back of that, what Morgan Stanley is saying is that, number one, the size of the OFS is actually less than 5%, which was the market expectations, and thereby removes an overhang. And what Morgan Stanley says is that they remain overweight and in fact would look to use any weakness to add to the positions. Now, interestingly, Nuvama Alternative and Quantitative Research also says that on the back of this particular OFS that has been floated by HAL, the government stake sale will actually lead to an increase as far as the free float is concerned. Now, the stock, which was already the top contender as far as an inclusion into the MSCI Standard Index is concerned, and this is for the May review, so we are still a couple of months away. Earlier, the cutoff price as per their expectations was 2,650 rupees a share. Now they believe that post this OFS, it falls to around 2,150 rupees a share. So they believe that this particular stock would now likely see higher weightage as well as higher inflows of close to $195 million once the complete OFS is subscribed. On the back of that, HAL under pressure today, but do watch out for any event development in terms of the MSCI impact.
And Vivek, with the GR, are the potential orders very large? I mean, briefly?
Well, absolutely right. Two large order wins that the company has said, emerged as lowest bidders for two of the orders. Number one, it's been declared as the lowest bidder. Now, this was a tender that was invited by NHPC, and this was for the Dibang multipurpose project in Arunachal Pradesh. It's a JV partnership with Patel Engineering, 50% for each of the partners, and the project cost is around 3,630 crore. The other one is for a 6-lane highway. It's a tender floated by NHAI. This is in Maharashtra, hybrid annuity project, and the project cost is around 872 crore. So, operation period of 15 years and project completion period of 730 years. The first one is more important, a 50% JV partnership with Patel Engineering, and expected to complete quite soon.
So many infra companies have been announcing very large order wins of late. Thank you very much, Vivek, for highlighting that. Dilip, wanted to get your thoughts on Hindustan Aeronautics. Now, the stock is corrected on the back of a technical supply issue, right? This offer for sale. But does the stock correction offer an attractive entry point if someone has a 2 to 3 year time horizon, given the triggers Vivek spoke about, the possibility of MSCI inclusion, plus so many analysts are bullish on it over the longer term, given the order wins?
Rima, without doubt, I think HAL prospects are certainly very good, and the addressable market that they have is huge at the moment. And possibly it is getting reflected even in the performance that we are seeing. But I always say that one of the things that you have to reckon with is it's a PSU. And second, of course, what you have to reckon with is that any PSU doing very well on the stock markets, generally you will find OFS happening sooner than later, and rightly so, because government requires cash. So I think taking all these factors into consideration, maybe a short-term momentum and a short-term one can take a bet from the way it's corrected. But I think on a longer term perspective, I think both these factors, a PSU as well as OFS overhang, I think will always weigh very heavily on these particular stocks, especially in the PSU, notwithstanding that the weightage in MSCI may go up.
Okay, all right. Just one more word on HAL. I was just looking at the futures plate. And, you have the market-wide open position limit. As of now, there's a big surge in terms of open interest. And if things stand as what they are as of now, there's a bit of a strategy. You're short in futures, you hope for allocation in the OFS. And if that happens, you play that arbitrage. But as of now, as things stand going by the open interest build-up, there's a high likelihood that the stock could go into the FNO band. So just keep that in mind. So I just want to point that out. On on HAL, just take a look at that. 16 lakh shares have been added out there, so there's a probability that that's what could happen as well. Well, I think for the time being, we'll slip into a short break. You come back, we'll continue our focus on markets. We'll also get our market expert who will be joining us. But as we take that break, well, let's hear out Mr. Yardney of Yardney Research, what he had to say on Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's comments.
I think Janet Yellen misspoke. I think that Powell's position is probably the one that's going to prevail here. And the idea is that, yes, the government, the Treasury, that is, and the Fed are not in a position to insure deposits, but they are in a position to guarantee that the banks themselves will remain safe. And so I think that's the fallback position that Yellen's going to have to get back to really quickly here.
Well, the market's shaving off a little more now. We are down about, just about 0.3%, 60 odd points. So, yeah, the decline is still in progress. Apart from the banks, the other big stock that has really not found any favor today is Reliance. It's down about 1.5%. Dilip, wanted to discuss this with you before we let you go for the day. Earlier in the week, there was that one day when Reliance had a great pop. A couple of, positive brokerage notes had come in. Even today, I mean, there is a lot of news flow about what they plan to do with their retail operations. For instance, launching a huge number of brands. But the stock continues to be in this rut, in a complete range. What are your thoughts?
Sure. I think Reliance continues to be on our radar. We may not be in a hurry to buy. I think the intrinsic sum of parts value really adds up very well. But I think considering the fact that there are too many moving parts and too many uncertainties, which is there in the markets, and of course the way the FIs are selling, and of course when FIs sell, I think some of the frontline stocks where they hold a big lot is the one where they would be selling. So I would say that we'll still wait for a while, but yes, it should be bought very gradually as it tries to go in for some correction further.
All right, Dilip, thank you very much. Good speaking with you. Appreciate it very much. Let's